Hey everyone, it's Eric Wen. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. The way that my brain works is I am obsessed with patterns and finding the meaning of things, the meaning of life, the meaning of relationships. The majority of the time, this is awesome. This leads to a lot of growth. This leads to a lot of being able to connect with other people. This leads to a lot of self-awareness. But every once in a while, there's certain things that get processed completely wrong, and it leads to a lot of unhealthy things like fear, basically fear. Sometimes I see patterns of how I've messed up or ways that I've been hurt really badly. And when I see those patterns, I start swerving really aggressively away from anything that leads to getting hurt like that. Anything that leads to mistakes like that. A couple years ago, I had a completely different group of friends. I was in a relationship, and both the friendships and the relationship were really bad for me. It was a bad mix of, what I was sorting out and what they were sorting out. When you put it all together, it ended up being something really scary, something pretty toxic, and in some ways really manipulative and abusive. Every once in a while, even now, I am reminded of how badly I was hurt, how scared I was. I remember how much I cared about these people, how much I trusted them, and how it all just ended up being this really scary, damaging thing. I see the patterns, I see how I got there, and I think to myself, I'm not gonna trust people like that again. I'm not gonna let people in like that again. Maybe with friendships, but not a relationship, or maybe with these people, but only to a certain degree. Some residual damages from the past have affected some of my friendships and relationships now. Some of my willingness to be open or vulnerable or trust people. And I think in many ways, being a little bit more guarded is part of growing up, is part of being more wise. But I did notice some ways that I had taken it to the extreme. There was a certain type of connection, there's a certain type of intimacy and vulnerability that in my head, I had drawn a direct line, a direct correlation between if I ever let myself be open in that way, if I ever let myself be vulnerable in that way, that was a one-way ticket to the mistakes that I had made before, to being hurt and devastated in the ways that I had before. Seeing this in myself freaks me out. I'm a very relational person. I love connecting with people. So I didn't like seeing this buried pain. I didn't like seeing this buried fear of intimacy in myself. As some of you introverts and overthinkers might relate to, this dilemma was like playing in circles in my head. I kept trying to find a way out, figure it out, fix it, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, the phrase that sort of freed me from this loop was very simple. Was this realization, this confidence, this conviction that, you know what? I am not ever going to let anyone treat me the way that I was treated in those relationships, in those friendships ever again. I won't do it. And I'm pretty confident about that. No matter what, I think how I was treated was wrong. I think what happened was wrong. And I don't think that I'm ever going to let anyone ever treat me like that ever again. When I focused on that truth, when I thought about it like that, I found myself feeling much stronger. I found myself trusting myself more. I found myself trusting more that I had grown and changed since those friendships and that relationship. By focusing on that, who I was, what I stood for, and what was basically in my control, I broke that line. I broke that lie in my head that said that anytime I connect or am open in these ways, I will be hurt like this. I will make mistakes like this. That's a very defensive, weak, terrifying way of thinking. I don't have the same exact blind spots, the same exact insecurities that I did a couple years ago. Basically, I had to break up a lie that I had in my head, a lie that had been built up because I had been really hurt. I needed to rewrite that in my head so that I could trust myself more, so that I could be a stronger character in my own story, so that I could not be scared of the good things in my life, like connection and vulnerability and all this stuff. You are stronger than you think. A lot more has changed than you think. Don't let the pains of the past cripple you now. You are the change maker of your own life. Let's think more deeply. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you know someone that needs to hear this exact week, I think it would be dope if you connected me with them. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Peace. Bye.